two.
Okay. All right, go.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the tour. What you'll be seeing today is a variety of designs and houses and duplexes and triplexes that have applied to bulk plane over the course of the last several years. And so we're going to be taking you through several neighborhoods to emphasize the different approaches to how the designs have worked out and how the bulk plane has been applied. So I want to introduce a few people who will be leading the discussion on our part. Our primary presenter is going to be Brooke Bell, our senior planner, who you've heard from before around bulk plane and how it's been applied. Karen Montanez, our chief building official, has joined us today. And Wade Burkholder, our planning manager, is going to be primarily the navigator to help Julie. Julie is our bus driver to get around and through the neighborhoods. And so that's a little bit of the agenda today. We have a lot to see. Hopefully we can do it in a timely manner, and we'll try to capture as many of the questions and answer them as we can. One of the things I want to do before we start rolling is introduce Allison, who will talk a little bit about some of the logistics and requirements for how we have to do this meeting based on the fact that we're mobile and not upstairs in the council chambers or the community room. And then after that, between here and when we start the tour, Brooke is going to do a brief recap of the bulk plane analysis and how it's measured and how it works out. So with that, I will turn it over to Allison.
Brooke, would you start this going back? I made 20 copies, so just make sure all the extras get to Sean in the back. So the first sheet is just once again a reminder about what the Open Meetings Act requires, and that we have 4 different kinds of meetings that occur within the city. Today's meeting is a workshop, and by state law, as interpreted by our own Colorado Supreme Court, a workshop is absolutely appropriate as long as it's posted, which we have done. And a workshop is limited to educational types of interactions. So I like to give everybody that handout in case any of your constituents question the meeting. It's absolutely appropriate under open meetings. However, the real issue isn't compliance, because you do everything right here, but it's about the perception of violations. So I also put together a list to help you avoid perceptions of non-compliance with the Colorado Open Meetings Act. The first is this workshop is not posted as a discussion of policy whatsoever. So this isn't an opportunity to start discussing whether bulk plane is good or bad or anything for the city or changes you might need. This is about looking at properties to better educate yourself about how current standards apply in the city, what that looks like with different lot sizes, what that looks like with different heights and those kind of things. So this is educational. The recording's going to be able to pick up every discussion. So one of the things that it's important to do is, if you're an elected official, and I'm even encouraging members-elect, even though you're not technically required to comply, it's really good to start right now. But I'm encouraging you all not to sit together, not because you will have policy discussions, but just because the video will show that you are actively not trying to have discussions outside the scope of the tour. Yes, it's always okay to discuss social things with other people. So if you want to ask how someone's kids are doing about that birthday party last week, that is always fine. But those are the kinds of things you ask over the top or back of the seat. And when you're sitting side by side, it's easier to start a whole conversation. Remember, the purpose of the tour is to educate yourselves about what properties look like. Limit yourself to questions about the properties you're looking at. I brought extra paper and pencil if anyone needs those. I anticipate policy questions will occur to you. Write those down, and if at any point a bulk plane discussion is had by the city council, you will have your notes to start asking questions about that. But keep your policy related questions for an open policy discussion, which would be in a study session. Today you're just asking about the properties in front of you. Yes, you can say, hey, how does such and such bulk regulation impact that property in front of me? I'm not understanding height, I'm not understanding lot width, but we're talking specifically about these properties. We're trying not to mention addresses. We're describing properties by the 2-story greenhouse in front of you or the 1-story yellow house, just to just try to be respectful of people. Don't answer questions posed by other council members. That's too easy to start a discussion. You may very well know the answer. I'm going to encourage you, bite your tongue, let staff answer. This is the same kind of setting that you would have if staff took you all out one by one. The only reason to have it in this setting is it really is more transparent for the public to know everybody's getting the same information, and these are the types of questions everybody's asking. Does anybody need paper and pencil? Okay, on that note, I'll get out of your way.
Could I just also add that if you can really speak your questions loudly, so we make sure and get those captured on the video.
And maybe we should say, thank you.
Can we give this to the mayor?
For the record, that Councilmember-elect John Stone is delayed and will meet us somewhere along the route. He will text us when he's left his place. We'll figure out where is the best place for us to meet him at that time, and then we'll just include him in.
Okay.
Sam, you don't have to record every second.
Okay. Very good.
You don't have to record every second. Like while we're driving,
Okay, so I can.
you can pause.
I'm going to talk a little bit.
Oh,
So hello everybody again. I'm going to be your tour guide today, and my name again is Brooke Bell. I'm a senior planner, and before we get started, we're headed up to Yale and Sherman right now. But before we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about bulk plane in general, because we've got Councilmember-elect Mr. Anderson here, and John Stone will be joining us later. But at any rate, I just want to give a quick overview of bulk plane. I know a lot of council members have heard this before, but I'll give the quick and dirty explanation of what bulk plane is. Bulk plane is basically, can everybody hear me okay, by the way? Yeah. Bulk plane is basically kind of almost like a tent-like structure that creates, it's like an invisible tent that creates a boundary for which you can develop within. And so really what it is, it starts on the two side property lines of a property, and it goes up 17 feet and then in at a 45-degree angle up to the maximum building height, which for the zone districts that we're going to see today is 32 feet. So it goes straight up on the side property line 17 feet and then in at a 45-degree angle. The entire structure, with a few exceptions, must be within that plane, that invisible tent. And so we're going to see lots of examples from that today. There are some exceptions for certain things like dormers and gutters and eaves, but certainly feel free to ask any questions about that. Does anybody have any specific questions about the bulk plane in general? No questions? You understand it? Okay. Yes.
So, a question that I've gotten from, you've seen it in emails and some of the citizens, is the roof, and somehow the roof being a part of the bulk plane, and it could be a flat roof. The bulk plane doesn't demand that you go up at all, right?
No,
So
not at all.
The roof really almost doesn't have anything to do with it. It just has to fit underneath that.
That's correct.
I just wanted that on the record.
That's correct. In fact, a flat roof sometimes has less bulk than a sloping roof.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
So if it goes up the 17 feet, it can go up higher as long as that 45-degree angle is...
As long as it's within it. So you're correct. It's not like the height of a structure is limited to 17 feet. It goes up 17 feet and then in at a 45. And obviously, the farther you get away from the side property line, because it's going up as it moves inward, the higher a structure can be. So really, the highest point on a property is typically somewhere in the middle of the property.
But with a maximum height limit
Of 32 feet. 32 feet. Now, another thing that plays into it is that bulk plane, and this gets a little more complicated, but I think everyone will understand it. I mentioned it's measured from two sides, but it's actually measured from the average grade at the midpoint of the two sides. So if your property's like that, it's going to the base plane is going to kind of level out to what's the average of those two midpoints. And so those two midpoints, and we'll see this on Sherman, they're taken at halfway back on the property. And so that can also have an effect on what can be constructed. So we'll see some of that on Sherman. Any other bulk plane questions? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to sit down for a while.
You don't have to report when nothing happens.
We're almost there, and we're going to get started. And I just wanted to say, on today's tour, we're actually going to go by about 44 properties that have duplexes, triplexes constructed fairly recently. And we were able to pull plans on about half of those. And
There's a new paint job.
and
It's gotten worse.
so we were able to pull plans on about half of these, and we're going to stop at each of those and talk a little bit about them. If anybody would like to stop at one of the properties other than the ones that we're stopping at, that are on our route, feel free to ask about that. We don't have a lot of information on those, but we can still discuss them if you'd like. And so with that, we're going to start here, right? This is the Englewood border. North of Yale is the city of Denver. And this duplex over here on my right, we do not have the plans on, but I was able to get some other information out of the file. And that's a 50-foot wide property, which each unit requires 25 feet of frontage. And the side setbacks on this, the minimum side setbacks are 5 feet, but this one happened to be 5.5 feet. And this one was constructed at a time that this one would have followed the 12-foot bulk plane. As you know, the bulk plane was changed from 12 to 17 feet in 2015, and this one would have complied with the 12-foot bulk plane.
When was it built?
It was, the CO on it was 2015. So it would have been started before 2015.
So, is that only 12 foot high?
Yes. Well, the bulk plane for this one was 12 feet high. Now, you remember when we were driving over here, I mentioned some things that can affect the bulk plane. Because the bulk plane is measured from the average of the two midpoints, on this side of Sherman, on the east side of Sherman, you're going to see taller structures than you would tend to see on the west side of Sherman. In fact, on the back side of a lot of these properties, it actually drops off. And so if you look over there at that in Denver, you can see that the grade goes up on Yale. And so that 12 feet is measured, because it's measured from the midpoint, it's measured further up the hill. So again, you're going to tend to see taller faces on the east side and shorter faces on the west side.
Do you have how tall that building is? Not what side, not the height of the land it sits on, the building.
I do not have that for that particular one.
But it's going to be higher than 12 feet in the front, but at the midpoint, it's going to be 12 feet.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And for the bulk plane, the overall height is another calculation. Overall height is actually the calculation that is measured from the average of the four corners of the finished grade. So it's not measured from the midpoint on the side property line. You take all four corners, average those, and go up from there, and that's the height. But I will have on some of these other duplexes, triplexes, I will have what the overall height was.
So, on the bulk plane itself, like the angle of the roof, on these properties, which way is that angle measured? On the east and west side, or on north and south side?
There is no bulk plane that comes up from the front and back.
Okay.
The bulk plane on this is coming up like this and coming inward.
Okay.
There is no bulk plane from the alley or the street.
Okay.
Then can you explain what Sean said, that the front can be taller? Because why?
It's going to appear taller.
Not appear taller. He said the front can be taller because the back is lower. And it's the average of.
It's just because it's the average. That's correct. If you take if you take something that slopes like this and you measure the front and you measure the back and you average those, that the front is obviously taller from the ground measurement than the back is.
This particular property is on a hill, so the back is much higher than the front, which means they probably have a taller, it's much taller at the front than 12 feet, but if you go to the midpoint between the front and the back, that should be 12. So
Should be.
So we're talking kind of
Should
about
be.
two different
Yeah.
things.
So, but you're talking about measuring from ground level on the front and ground level on the back. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it doesn't matter whether it's on a hill or a mountain or in a gutter.
Think of it as, in an extreme case, think of it as like a walkout basement. The measurement on the back side of a walkout basement is going to be higher than on the front side. All right. This one right here? I think
That's
it's...
stuck?
No, it's not.
Oh, on the handle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
So this one on the left here, so if you just pull over this to the side.
Okay, we're looking at this duplex
Fine.
on
Okay,
my
you tell me
right.
if I'm in your way.
So that got a certificate of occupancy in 2018. That's a 50-foot wide lot, and it actually has 8-foot side setbacks. And setbacks, the more you set back a building, the more you're moving away from the side property line, and so the bulk plane is increasing. So the sidewalls on this could potentially be a little bit taller because it's farther away from the side setback. This utilized the 17-foot bulk plane that we currently have, and the height of this structure is 27 feet. So it's about 5 feet under the 32-foot height limit. It has 9-foot ceilings on the first floor and 8-foot ceilings on the second floor, and its lot coverage is about 47%. The maximum lot coverage in this zone district is 60%. And in looking at the bulk plane and measuring it on the plans, this structure would fit in about a 13.5-foot bulk plane. So it's under the 17 feet, but it would fit in with about a 13.5-foot bulk plane. So that's what I've got on that structure. On the structure to our right, which is also a duplex, and it's got a third story and kind of a little rooftop deck on it. Let me see here. I actually do not have. We were not able to locate the plans on that particular one. So, all right.
Who maintains the plans?
Our building division,
Who would have approved it?
zoning and building.
So they still have the permit for it then, don't they?
Yes, but not the plans.
So by records retention, we only have to keep plans for 180 days. Typically, we keep them longer than that, and it just depends on our staffing levels how busy we are as to when we do the records destruction.
And when did you say that was built? That duplex that we just saw? Well, the permit lasts 180 days.
2018. It got CO'd in 2018.
Wow.
So we're at 2835.
All right, here's kind of a good example on my left of a duplex built on the lower side of Sherman, and the grade drops off even a little bit further in the back. Just a moment. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, this on our left is also a 50-foot lot, wide lot, and it's a 5-foot side setback. This one was CO'd in 2014, and it complies with the 12-foot bulk plane. It's got a height of 24 feet, and that's what we're showing.
So is there a reason why you still have this one, or do you have some kind of consistent retention records that you have something from 2014 and not something from 2018?
I got this information out of a different file. We do not have plans on this particular one. But I know from when it was built that it would have had to comply with the 12-foot width.
And you said that was 24-foot height? Sorry.
Yes.
So when you say it's 12 foot, you're going more off of just when it was built and assuming that it complied?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
We can go up just a little bit behind the plate collar.
Can I ask one more question about that one that we just saw on the right side? What is the lot coverage that they can have?
Yeah, we're good.
They can have 60%.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That's right. That's right. Okay. So on my right over here, and this again is a good example of being on the east side of Sherman. The bulk plane is measured halfway up the property, and this was also a 50-foot wide lot with 5-foot side setbacks, and the bulk plane on this was also 12 feet. Its height is 25 feet, and the ceilings on it are 9 feet on the first floor and 8.5 on the second floor. The rooftop deck was actually added later. It was added in 2018, and the railings on a rooftop deck can protrude through the bulk plane, but that sort of trellis structure on top cannot. And the height on this one was 25 feet.
Is that, you mean with the terrace on top?
Correct. So again, things are going to appear a lot taller on this side. This one almost has a walkout type basement on the front.
Would you clarify what you mean by a pier? Like, what is it about that you think is falsely making it bigger?
Because the grade is going up. So it's higher than us. It's starting out higher than where we are.
But it's still being measured from the ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. On this side is another duplex with a flattish roof, and this is on a 50-foot wide lot. It's got 5-foot side setbacks. This one complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. Its height is 27.5 feet. It has 9-foot ceilings on both the first and second floor. And this one is at 53% lot coverage. Go straight.
Yeah, that's pretty. Like the wreath.
Oh, on the door? Yeah. That is
Holiday.
pretty. Yeah, getting ready for the holidays. What are you doing? She's like,
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Over to the right in front of this car.
Just a reminder, if you see one you want to stop at, we'll do that too.
Which one?
2956. It's the house with the two red.
Oh, okay.
This one here?
Pull ahead, just a little bit.
Or you could just do this one here.
That one we did not have plans on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just by the bushes.
So, yeah, this is good. All right, so this house on my right-hand side, somebody asked some questions about it, and this was actually started to be built in 2000, and the maximum height, well, in 2000 there was no bulk plane, okay, but there was a maximum height of 25 feet, okay, and that looks higher than 25 feet. And so we did some research on it. We do not have the plans on it, but prior to the 2004 rewrite, there was a provision. You had a maximum height of 25 feet, but for each foot of additional side setback, you could go an additional foot in height. And so this one actually had an additional, and it's a combined setback, so from each side had an additional side setback of 12 feet. I'm presuming that it was 6 feet on each side, and so it could have actually been built to 37 feet tall. Our records show that it was built to 33.5 feet tall. So that's kind of why that was there.
Brooke, if we don't have plans, how do you know what it was built to?
I had, I looked in the building file, and at that time there was a comment during the review period for the original plans, and the planner at that time put some notes in there and showed the calculation, and it referred back to a part of the code that was relevant at that time, and I looked back at that, and that's how I found that.
And what period was it built?
2000, and it took a few years to build it. I think it took a few years to build it. It kind of has a walkout type basement too.
So since the bulk plan was changed since then, is this considered an unconforming, or what's the...
It could be considered a non-conforming structure.
Could
Non-conforming
be or
structure,
is.
which is different than is.
Oh, okay.
That it's not a non-conforming use; it's a non-conforming structure.
So if it burned down, they could not build that same height.
Correct.
Do they know that?
Probably not.
Huh.
So, yeah. When you make code changes, some structures can be non-conforming structures, especially if you go down. So,
I ask because if when that happens, do we notify them at all? To let them know that if something happened, or their insurance or whatever, to let them know.
We don't for non-conforming structures. We do for
Okay.
non-conforming uses.
Brooke, but if that did happen, let's hope it doesn't, that would not be something we'd want for them, but if they did, they would come back and ask for a building permit
Correct.
to put a new home up, and that's when you would tell them that's what
That is correct.
That's a hell of a time to find out.
Thank you.
Still go straight ahead.
I think we were here. I think we're here.
Okay, sorry.
Can we stop here just for a second?
Sure.
Sorry.
Do I need to back up?
You could a little bit. All right, so the property on my left here is it's on a 50-foot wide lot. It's got 5-foot side setbacks. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. The height is 30.5 feet, and it has, ironically, its ceilings are 8.5 on the first floor and 7 on the second floor. But on the second floor, and I talked about this at one of the council meetings, on the second floor, it's vaulted, and you can kind of see that in these two windows. So the roof trusses, instead of them being flat on the second floor, they vault up towards the middle, and that's in an attempt to get a little bit more volume up there. But on the side walls, over here near the eaves, they're actually low. And it's likely that they had to go with those ceiling heights because they were being sort of negatively affected by the bulk plane on this side of the street.
So if it's 35 foot high, how can it be that, does that just ground level from the front?
No,
or-
this one was, I think I said, it's 30.5.
Oh, 30.5.
30.5, so it's under the
Right.
32-foot maximum height. Okay. Yep.
Go down to Dartmouth and make a right.
Excuse me? No.
That's on Corona.
Oh,
I get more complaints about it from the minute he built it.
oh, really? Why?
He's an interesting neighbor.
Oh, I see. I don't
No, you don't have to. People tend to complain more about interesting neighbors, especially if they think they're more entitled.
Sorry.
Oops.
Right here for 1 second on the
That one's also.
All right, here. All right. This house, which is a little bit behind us,
So nobody was telling you.
okay.
She's good at backing up.
Unfortunately, didn't know we were
Was that here?
Yes. So this house is actually on a 62.5 foot wide lot. So it's basically 2.5 lots. So it actually has 14-foot side setbacks, and because of that, that helps it in terms of the bulk plane. But it complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. The height on this is
You're
27.
gonna have to speak louder with the air on.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll start again. The this is actually a 62.5 foot wide lot. So it's 12.5 feet wider than a normal lot. And the side setbacks on it are 14 feet. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane, and it is 30.5 feet tall. It has, let me see something here. No, it's 27.5 feet tall, and it has 9-foot ceilings on both the first and second floors. And its lot coverage is 37%. This particular structure in this location being on this side of Lincoln, because we're getting a little bit of a similar effect on Lincoln as we are in Sherman. The grades going up to the east, going down to the west. But this particular structure would actually work with a 13-foot bulk plane, mainly because it's here on the east side of Lincoln.
Well, I get that that sometimes the grade goes up, but the grade is down on this property and the grade is lower on that property, so it looks like they created the grade on this property to be higher because it's
the
only one.
The bulk plane is measured from the the midpoints of the side property lines.
So my question is, can they go ahead and build that property up like that to go ahead and do obviously what they did in the front part of this?
They can do that, yes.
They can, and well, then they can make it favorable for themselves, I guess, if they want to.
Well, they cannot change the midpoints of the side property lines.
When does that get determined? At what point? Because obviously they did this because I don't think that property just went up for this one lot like that. When did they do it?
If you look back at the garage and back, even on this property to the north, it's higher because the grade is going up.
I know. What I asked was when does that get determined? When do you come out here
for the bulk
and
plane?
look at a property?
It's on a survey prior to them applying for a building permit. They have to do a survey with their subdivision that they do for this.
Oh, so it's from their survey once they already have decided that they want to build. Okay.
When they want to subdivide, they do a survey and they show those midpoint grades.
So Brooke, I think maybe the question is, could I bring lots of fill material in, make it much higher, in order to maybe squeeze a basement in and get more height? Or
you could bring fill material in terms of your overall height, but you could not fill at the midpoints on your side property line. You cannot fill over those.
At least not after the survey's done. Prior.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can't. You need to maintain your property lines at the grades that they are at.
Gotcha.
Because that's an infinitesimally small line between you and your neighbor.
Hey there, how far away are you? Yeah, do you see us?
Oh, should we wait?
Behind the weight truck. You're directly across the street.
Oh,
okay, great.
Okay. Can we pull over to pick up a
pull
council member?
Okay, we'll pull up here, and then you can park along, and then so we'll have somebody drive you back here and get your car. Great. See you in a sec.
Chasing the bus.
You should probably sit where I am.
Good job.
Really getting delegated to back now.
Got a little statue on it.
Out the back door next.
House.
It is. I like the slight corners.
How are you?
Hi.
Welcome.
Glad you caught up with us.
All right. Made it. This one street.
So, Brooke, could I ask a question about the property on the left?
The 1 story and the 2 story?
Yeah.
Sure.
So there, this is pretty flat, correct? Would you say, or I know we don't
It
have
looks
any
like it's
information on it.
definitely getting flatter as we head north, at least.
So
on
in
Lincoln.
this instance, we're probably still dealing with a 12-foot bulk plane.
It depends. I'm not sure when this one was built.
Okay.
We pulled all the duplexes and
Right.
and triplexes.
I guess could I get some information on this property? Just
Sure, sure. Okay, okay.
I got it.
Yeah, because it looks like it's a single family that was added onto in the back.
Right.
That's fine. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
That is another good point to make, is that the bulk plane doesn't just affect townhomes, duplexes, triplexes. It affects a single family home that wants to add on, or construct a brand new single family home.
Okay.
Was that the Walgreens behind them? Is that what that was? Okay.
I didn't see.
Yeah. But
Or the motel.
Okay. On my left here is a 3-story duplex, and it's on a 50-foot wide lot. The side setbacks are 5.5 feet. The bulk plane, it meets the 17-foot bulk plane, and its height is 29.5 feet. It has 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 9-foot ceilings on the, no, I'm sorry, 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 8-foot ceilings on the second floor, and 8-foot ceilings on the third floor. And this one has about 48% lot coverage.
Which standard was it built under? 12
Under
or-
the 17-foot.
Okay.
What year was it built?
It was CO'd in 2019.
But you said this had a 5-foot setback?
5.5 foot. 5.5 foot side setback.
Are you questioning this one?
Well, I'm questioning just the fact that if you look to the property just to the south of it,
That one, so in the old days, so we didn't have zoning in the city of Englewood until 1940. I'm guessing that structure predates even 1940. But there was a time when setbacks, what they were looking for was setbacks of overall of 10 feet between structures on different properties. And so there would often be one structure would have a 7-foot side setback and another one would have a 3-foot side setback. So we have a lot of structures that are set back 3 feet from the side property line, all
there
over
might have been
town.
some ownership piece too, because you said that this lot was what size?
50 feet.
I thought you said it was a little bigger than 50 feet.
Not this particular one, no.
So my question here is
No,
too,
the previous one was 62.5.
Oh, okay.
at least from this angle, it doesn't look like the north side is 5 foot either.
5.5.
No.
Oh, this White House?
No,
This is 2 units here. The second unit here doesn't look like there's 5.5 feet on that side.
on the left side, and it could just be the angle that
Correct. That
I'm
we're at
sitting
right
at, but
now. It looks like it.
Can you talk about the inspection process and who comes out and does that measurement? For
Yeah, we do a setback inspection at the before the concrete foundation is poured. Okay, so we come out and we measure the forms, and then we also, so we do that. The foundation gets poured, and then there's numerous inspections by the building division at various points in construction. Everything from rough framing, plumbing, mechanical, all those systems, drywall. We also do a final inspection, a final zoning inspection. We look at landscaping, height, all those kinds of things. So there's inspections throughout. white one on the left, the triplex?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to talk about that. All right. So the property on the left here was built in 2014. So we did not have plans on this, but I did have some information on it. And so we don't have plans on it, but it was built in 2014. It's on a 75-foot wide lot. You remember I said each unit needs 25 feet. And it's got a 6-foot side setback, and it complied with the 12-foot bulk plane. So you can kind of see those I don't know what the ceiling heights were, but I'm guessing in these two end units, they were lower and they were vaulted. That's all I have on that one.
That's a big 12 feet.
So whenever we're talking about bulk plane, if we say a 12-foot bulk plane or a 17-foot bulk plane, you need to add in what the side setback is. So for instance, the bulk plane in this case would be hitting the side wall of the house, or getting close to the side wall of the house at 18 feet high. Okay. All right, so this structure on my left is on a 50-foot wide lot. It has 5.5-foot side setbacks. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. It's 26 feet high, and it has 9-foot ceilings on both the first floor and the second floor. And this one, I don't know if you remember at one of the council meetings talking about recessing the foundation, or recessing the first floor joist down into the foundation. So that gave them a little more ability to do their 9-foot ceilings. So it's a instead of the floor joist being directly on top of the foundation, they're recessed down within it.
So there would probably be, there's not a basement in something like that then?
No, you can still have a basement.
But is there one here, do you think?
I don't know, but you can certainly still recess the floor joists and still have a basement.
Because Brooke, you're not recessing by that much. I mean, you're
A foot.
foot.
The depth of a floor joist, which is typically not really over a foot.
So it has 6-foot side setbacks, but that doesn't impact the roof. The roof looks like it's going much closer to the property line.
Right. And there are allowed projections into the side setback, fireplaces, eaves, gutters, but the sidewall cannot.
Okay, so is there a limit on how far the roof can go into the side setbacks?
Yes, it's I believe it is 4 inches per 4 inches per foot of side setback.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have, let's see, 2944? We don't. No, we don't. Correct. We also have one 33. Is this 2933 on the left? Okay. So we can just stay here, actually. I was going to talk a little bit about this other duplex on my left, over on the other side of the street here. Actually, I take that back. We do not have that one. So we can go to the next one.
Really?
Not doing real well.
That would have been funny to see.
These were the ones.
Ask Doug all about it sometime. Oh, okay.
This is really cute.
No kidding.
Yes, you did.
I'm sure he has fond memories. I'm sure he does. He's got lots of memories. Interest between mahogany.
Always lived in.
I'm sure that was insightful.
Okay. All right. So this property on this side of the bus here is on a 50-foot wide piece of.
We got a
property.
car block behind us.
Oh, we do? Okay. I think everyone can kind of still see it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Okay, so that particular property, the white one that's behind us, is on a 50-foot wide lot. It actually has a 7.5-foot side setback. It meets the 17-foot bulk plane, and it is 27 feet in height, and it has 9-foot first floor ceilings and 9-foot second floor ceilings, and it has 44% lot coverage. This particular duplex, it looks like it would be able to meet a 13.5-foot bulk plane.
Which one? One right behind.
No, the white one, not the one right next to us here.
And when you say that, Brooke, you mean that it could be the size that it is and still meets the 13 foot.
13.5 foot.
13.5, sorry.
Right. Okay, this one that is right next to us here, let's see, that is on a 50-foot wide lot. It has a 5.5-foot side setback. No, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong. Okay. Yes, it is on a 50-foot wide lot. It has a 5-foot side setback. It meets the 17-foot bulk plane. It is 28 feet in height, and it has 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, and 7.5-foot ceilings on the third floor, and it is 46% lot coverage.
And was this one's really recent, right? So, do you know what was here before? Was it too small?
I do not know. Would you remember, Karen?
It's a 2-story next to it.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say-
quite big.
Now, I do not know what was here previously. Let's go across it first.
Brooke, can I ask a general question about your statement about it looking bigger? It looks bigger when you're standing on the street, right? So right
Correct.
now we're on Lincoln. It looks, if you're standing on Lincoln and looking to your east, it looks bigger than the property on the west. But if you consider the property behind it on Sherman, if you're on the east side of the street on Lincoln, it still looks bigger to you because we're sloped, just the topography of this
Correct.
area. It's just we're constantly sloping downwards, and so this is the reason why even the house on the west side of the streets aren't small, because
Correct.
the street next to you on the west of you is still going to be below you because of just the
Correct.
hill.
If you know, if you and I are looking at each other and I'm on a hill above you, I'm going to look
Right.
taller, obviously.
Yeah, because the east side of the property is still looking up to
Correct.
what's to the east of them.
Correct.
It doesn't make him talk.
No.
No, but it's just the perception.
All
is
right.
what he's saying.
This structure on this side of the bus, on the west side, it's a triplex, and it is on a 75-foot wide lot. It's got 6-foot side setbacks, and we don't actually have the plans on this one, but at the from the time it was built, it would have had to comply with the 12-foot bulk plane
When was it built?
in 2014. And I believe you can kind of see a little bit of a third story, but I don't think it's a third story. I believe it's kind of a skylight, clear story windows. That's all I have on that one.
So this would have complied with the 12 foot?
Correct.
But you don't have the plans. You're just going based off of the time that it was built.
Correct.
You imagine.
Yeah, that's jump. Oh,
It does.
And I can talk about, is that one? No.
2767 is the next
I
one.
think,
Oh.
according to the map, this one is 2019.
I'm sorry. I need to go back and talk about this one. I was on the wrong.
You're in the wrong book.
Wrong block on my list here.
12 feet from the midpoint front to back.
Okay. We do have plans on that one. The one that's behind us. I got mixed
Well,
up on the
27. Oh, sorry.
wrong. So.
It's hard.
That one is on a 75-foot lot. The triplex. Each unit
You're
requires.
back to the south one of it, right?
Yes, I am. So forget that other information. I apologize.
Awesome.
It's on a 75-foot wide lot. It's got 5-foot side setbacks, and it complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. And it is 27.5 feet high. It has 9.5-foot first floor ceilings and 8.5-foot second floor ceilings, and it's at 52% lot coverage, and it also has a recessed foundation. Look at the door thresholds on that first floor, how low they are compared to a lot of other units that step up. So they're kind of trying to press that building down and get those taller ceilings.
What did you say the lot coverage was on that?
52%.
You see the back part of that?
Yeah, these typically have a backyard and then detached garages.
No, I meant the building that I can see the second part of that going back, the gray part. That looks huge. I was just wondering what you said it's 52% lot coverage on that?
That's correct.
Huh. Okay.
So then, if we look at these buildings, this triplex, also on a 75-foot lot, it has 6-foot side setbacks. It looks like this one was done by a similar architect who did one farther south of here. On a 75-foot lot, 6-foot side setbacks. It complies with a 17-foot bulk plane. Its height is 28 feet. It has 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 8-foot ceilings on the second floor, and it has 46% lot coverage. This one also has a recessed foundation. And it looks like the middle unit, the finished floor elevation of the middle unit is a little higher than of the two end units. And they can do that because they can go a little higher in the middle unit.
Brooke, was this the one that had sort of an open house for a while? Do you remember in council, a couple of councils?
I think it may have
Yeah, 'cause
been.
I've been in these.
I think it may have been. These were pretty. And actually, it may have been the one south of here.
Okay.
That was built earlier.
Okay.
Because this
So
one.
one's 28.
This one's 2017.
2017.
The one that's farther south is 2014.
Maybe it was a 2014 one then.
We're gonna head across Broadway to Bannock.
I know. Just amazing man. Just amazing family.
Yeah, we want to go up to the left.
Yeah. They're gonna have selling a lot of the bakery part. Kind of like the television stand. That little area in the front. So you can walk and see. Oh, nice.
Okay. This is a triplex on the east side of the street here, and it was built in 2018. It's on a 75-foot wide lot. It's got 5-foot side setbacks. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane, and it's 31.5 feet in height, and it's got 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 8-foot ceilings on the second floor, and 8-foot ceilings on the third floor. It has 52% lot coverage, and this one also has a recessed foundation. And if you look again, the two end units are lower than the middle unit, because the middle unit can go slightly higher. But the two end units have the recessed foundation.
Do you know how much higher the floor is between them? Looks like it's about a foot, yeah.
It does, because there's two more risers, so
Yeah.
yes.
They did an update on next door. Turn now.
If we could stop just for a second. Actually, we can go a little bit further and look at the north side of this house next to me. Right about a little bit further. This one,
Can you see, Joe? I don't want to block your view.
I don't have all the numbers on this one, but I wanted to point something out. And that is on this south side of the building, you see those dormer windows? There is a dormer exception that allows for a dormer such as that to protrude into the bulk plane. And the regulations say you can have a total of 15 feet of dormers. So you could have one 15-foot wide dormer, or you could have three, say, 5-foot wide dormers. And so that exception has always been there ever since we've had the bulk plane. Yes?
So, what would some of the reasons be for that exception? I can see one for aesthetics, that everything's not all the same.
It is partially for aesthetics, because you would always have front-facing gables, as we've seen most of today, and you'd never have side. It gives a little more variation. It gives more variation to the architecture, basically.
Would there be any other reasons for exceptions like that? Than all aesthetics, really?
If you're in a lower bulk plane situation, okay, let's say you had the 12-foot bulk plane. If you're in a lower situation, that can help create some relief for that, the builder. Yeah. Correct, because this one's two smaller dormers. You could, as I mentioned, you'd say have 3 5-foot dormers, but you could also have one 15-foot dormer, and so that's almost big enough to get a room in.
Yeah.
So if you have a lower bulk plane, let's say today in the R1A, you could see somebody using that to not only create some more variation in the architecture, but get something that's a little bit above the bulk plane, but we limit, the amount of it is limited to a total of 15 feet.
Would you be able to get the lot coverage and the
I don't have it
total-
on that one.
Would you be able to get the lot coverage and the height on that one with those dormers,
see.
since you're using it as the example for the dormers? Because it seems like they probably wouldn't have been able to really put that other area in if they didn't do that. So, I mean, I appreciate you pointing out the dormer example, but just so that we have a little more information.
Brooke,
Yes.
maybe this would be a little easier. Do you have another property that's coming up with dormers that you have that you actually included in your list so we could provide?
We'll have to see. I know of another one that
And
has
you don't
dormers.
have to add work. You can
Yeah,
explain the
but
parameters
that
there.
certainly wouldn't affect lot coverage on that at all. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, we may have plans on
Yeah, I
that
don't want to put anybody in an awkward position to try and answer my question. Thanks.
We may have a plan on that one,
I
but we
appreciate
did
it.
not for this tour. Okay, we can go.
I'm sure the phones ringing.
I'm sure.
You got a lost breakfast.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, this house on the west side here. Okay, it is on a 62.5 foot wide lot. So again, this is a wider than normal lot for a duplex. And it has 9 foot side setbacks. So a little bit more than the standard setback. It complies with the 17 foot bulk plane. The structure height is 30 feet high. And this one actually has 10 foot first floor ceilings, 9 foot second floor ceilings, and 8 foot third floor ceilings. And it is 43% lot coverage.
Old school. Oh, I didn't know. The back in the day one. I didn't know he was married prior to Diane.
Here's another dormer. On this one.
I got a sign in her yard 10 years ago. Sister might she's mad at him. Love has no fury like I think she was happy this morning, but nonetheless, angry nonetheless.
All right. So this duplex further to the south here, with the flat roof. All right. So the duplex further to the south is on a 50-foot wide lot. It's got a 5-foot side setback. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. The height on that one is 24.5 feet, and it has 9-foot first floor ceilings and 8-foot second floor ceilings, and it's at 52% lot coverage. And it also has a recessed foundation. This next duplex to the north, the white one here, it's also on a 50-foot wide lot. It has 5-foot side setbacks. It has a 17-foot bulk plane. It's actually 30 feet high, and it's got 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, and it's at 47% lot coverage.
And what was the total height on this last one?
30 feet.
So this one is 30, and the one next to it, farther south, is 24.
Correct. 24.5.
Oh, I didn't
Correct.
have to that's huge.
So peaked roofs obviously are oftentimes taller than flat roofs.
This one on the right.
Okay. On the east side here we've got a triplex. The lot width on it is 75 feet, 25 feet per unit. It has 5-foot side setbacks. It complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. It's 31 feet high, and it has 8.5-foot ceilings on the first floor, 8.5-foot ceilings on the second floor, and 7-foot ceilings on the third floor, and it is at 49% lot coverage. It also has a recessed foundation. No, we can't do that. That one's not built.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
After he had it, he tried to take it away from everybody else.
Too late.
Because this is
Obviously, this one's under construction.
It's a shame it was a good house.
Just came by your house.
This white one on the left. All right. So on the east side of the street here, we've got a triplex. It's on a 75-foot wide lot. It has 5-foot side setbacks, and it complies with the 17-foot bulk plane. Its height is 28 feet. It's got 9-foot ceilings on the first floor and 8-foot ceilings on the second floor, and it's at 47% lot coverage.
How big was the lot on that one?
75.
Thanks.
Stop at this corner.
Okay, on the west side of
Do
the
you know
block,
anything about this? Like
Like the little shed.
Yeah,
the little house there.
So they do have a demolition permit out. It took them a while to get it because Excel wouldn't turn off the gas. They had a lot of problems with that.
Do you want to stand up?
Oh, sure. And then also, when they started demolition, some more information came back about asbestos on the roof, so they're having that retested. So
Are you talking about the one that's on the corner?
It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
And there's squatters there.
I don't know.
At one time we had
thought we were gonna do
squatters
that.
move from one to another, and
Yeah.
eventually we're getting them all taken
The
care
police
of.
have been
so.
here many times.
So this one here, this duplex here, is this? Oh, that is a
Back on track.
Yeah, we
Front
didn't pull the
corner, right?
yeah we didn't pull the plans on this one right
But
here.
these are both more recent.
Yes,
Okay.
we could only pull
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
plans.
But
You have
this
a lot
would be
of-
built under the 17-foot bulk.
Yes, it would be. That's correct. All right, this structure on the west side here, it's this triplex is on a 75-foot wide lot. It's got 5-foot side setbacks, a 17-foot bulk plane. Its height is 25 feet, and the ceilings on the first floor are 8 foot. Ceilings on the second floor are 8 foot, and it's at 35% lot coverage.
And Brooke, are there any design guidelines on any of these?
There are some design guidelines.
Like, do we require articulation or, you know?
We do require some articulation, some window patterns, and changes of materials, but they're not real prescriptive.
It's not reviewed by a committee for aesthetics at all, right?
Correct.
Would that normally be an HOA, or is that, do some cities actually get that far other than
Some cities have
Cherry Hills? I know does.
some cities have design guidelines, short of having an HOA. Yes.
A lot of them do.
Yes.
Quite a few of them do, not just Cherry Hills or HOAs.
Yes. There's-
What's the year that was built?
This was built in 2018.
Thank you.
CO.
So what did you say the lot coverage was on this one?
The lot coverage was a lot lower on this.
It's 35.
I don't think these go very deep. They're smaller units,
It was 35.
and it's 35%.
I know it's hard not to answer.
Hey, Brooke,
Yes.
in about 10 minutes, I'm going
I wouldn't
pause
talk
and
much.
turn the or exchange the battery.
Okay. Let me know a little bit before.
We got 19 minutes left.
Okay.
We'll get a little patty.
I think we may be done by then.
You think so?
Yeah. We're down to here. So this one on the right here. So again, this is a triplex. This is actually on a wider lot. It's on an 87.5-foot lot, and so 12.5 feet wider than a typical triplex lot. Its side setback varies from 5 to 7 feet. They've got some little bay windows on the sides. There is it is under the 17-foot bulk plane, and the structure is 29 feet high. It has 9-foot ceilings on the first floor, 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, and it's at 37% lot coverage.
Brooke, this one was built in 2016?
The one over here.
2017.
Is it? Oh.
Yes. This one on this side is 2017. So actually across the street, and don't know if you can pull up a little bit. Let's see, 20. No, we're gonna go. We're actually looking at the one that's under construction right now. Not the brown one, but the one with the.
Is that one the white one there?
Yes.
Yeah. So we gotta back up.
Oh,
No. This is.
Oh, I thought
This is the one that we're looking
this
at.
one's under construction too.
Right.
Back there. The white one.
All right, so we're looking at this one with the Tyvek wrapping?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
This one we're looking at right now.
The white one is still under construction too. Back there.
No, I think somebody's just working on the roof. So this one with the white wrap on it, that's on a 50-foot lot with 5-foot side setbacks, a 17-foot bulk plane. It's 30 feet high, and the first floor ceilings are 10 feet. The second floor ceilings are 9 feet. It has 46% lot coverage, and this one also has a recessed foundation. Look at the front doors, how they're relatively low to the grade around it. Okay.
Brooke, this next one coming up on the left, it looks at least 7, 8 feet taller than the one to the left. Is it? You don't have anything on it, do you?
I actually.
Is that the brown one on here or what?
We did not pull the plans on this one, but the white one that we were just at.
Yes.
Actually, I do have information on the one with the ladder on it. That's where we got messed up. I apologize. The one that's got the ladder leaning up on it is on a 50-foot wide lot. It has 5-foot side setbacks. It's a 17-foot bulk plane. It's 30 feet high, the one with the ladder on it. And it has 9-foot or 10-foot first floor ceilings, 9-foot second floor ceilings. And it's got 46% lot coverage and a recessed foundation.
Is there a third floor on that? The one with the guy standing on the roof you're talking about now,
I
right?
don't think so.
Which one? Which
The,
one with
the one with the person on the roof.
Yeah, that's the one that I
Two
originally
stories.
brought up.
It's a 2-story.
That's my decision.
The white one, so I'm sorry,
The wrapped one?
the wrapped one, is a 50-foot lot with 5-foot side setbacks, a 17-foot bulk plane, and 26.5-foot height on the wrapped one. And it has 9-foot first floor ceilings, 9-foot second floor ceilings, and 48% lot coverage. It also has a recessed foundation. So we did not pull the plans on this one, but obviously this one is taller.
Well, knowing that one's 26 now, I mean, this probably is all the way to 32, but or close to it maybe.
Yeah, instead of doing a 3rd story on this one, you can see they did kind of a garden level basement. And then the other thing about this one is notice that the 2nd story comes in. So as opposed, it doesn't line up with the 1st story outside walls. It comes in, making it easier to meet the bulk plane.
Yeah. And then Brooke, those little dormers above the little covered cover walkways, then just
Those would not be considered a dormer exception.
I'm not a dormer, but they're. Oh, so that doesn't intersect the bulk plane at all. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So those do not have any in the 17-foot. They don't have any impact on the bulk plane in terms of intersecting.
These ones in front, no. And you can see they're pretty low.
Yeah.
That is the last property on our tour. So,
Thank you.
all righty.
This is very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keep it rolling for questions.
All right, let me pause for a second. I'm just going to swap the battery out.
Brooke, even so, the height still couldn't go over the 32 feet for that.
Excuse me?
No matter what, no matter how much they smush it into the middle, they can't go over the 32 feet.
Start today at 5 a.m. Still.
Couple of questions.
Yes.
This, what is the zone? Are all of these that we've looked at in the same zone?
The ones we've been looking at are in two. We had most of these are in the R2B zone district.
Okay.
Okay. There were a few on the other side of Broadway that were in the MUR3A.
Right.
Dimensionally, those have
The same.
the same. There's a little bit increased, actually, rear setback on a house in the MUR3A, but they have similar dimensional requirements.
What is the bulk plane in the single family zones?
In the R1C zone districts, it is a 17-foot bulk plane,
Okay.
just like what we've seen here.
Okay.
In the R1A and R1B zone districts, it's a 12-foot bulk plane, not a 17-foot. Those tend to be in a little bit more suburban areas.
Got it.
Anything else?
That's it.
Nice to hear that for a change. To look at changes. Depends on what depends on what's being pushed at the time, I guess. How
Oh, but it's so popular. Does he do that? Yeah.
it's just very.
Oh, does he like to do that? He's like,
Yeah, we've done a lot of our years.
That's your living apartment?
oh, really?
You know, like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you do flips on.
See, I had girls. I didn't
Oh, Lord.
have all that. Kidding.
Miss some of the times that it's very attached to it. Oh, safer. No, we wouldn't do that.
Do that again.
No, you gotta take risks. Take risks.
Take care of you when you get old. Yeah. Oh. That's old design.
This is the most discount in Europe. We'll get there. No, me and Carrie's guys.
Well, as we pull up to the Civic Center, I just want to thank you all for taking your time to go on this. It was very educational for me, and I also want to just thank planning staff, community development staff for their work putting this together.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bus buddy.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you all for making the time.
Thanks for letting me catch
To the League of the Eyes, Attorney Brown.
Yes, indeed.
Educated in terms of that. Yeah, that was helpful.
Sam was here.